Is your home secretly making you sick, or maybe quietly losing its value? You know, it's a question we don't really ask ourselves when we walk through the front door. We tend to think of our homes as our safe havens. But right beneath the surface, inside the air ducts, along the chimney liners, and literally sitting right on top of the roof shingles, there are these silent processes happening that can seriously compromise both your family's health and your property's value. And that is exactly what we are breaking down in this explainer today. We're going to dive into the actual science of home maintenance and uncover the hidden threats that might be lurking in your biggest investment.
Welcome to our Inside Out Guide to Home Science and Safety. We are taking a really fascinating journey today to demystify the maintenance that protects your health on the inside and boosts your property value on the outside. Here is the quick roadmap for our journey. We're going to cover invisible indoor air threats, managing moisture and mold, chimney safety and inspections, how exterior cleaning boosts value, the big soft washing versus pressure washing debate, and finally, the professional safety reward.
All right, let's jump right into Section 1, Invisible Indoor Air Threats and the Microscopic Dangers Inside.
Get this, the scientific evidence here is actually pretty wild. The air inside our homes can often be way more polluted than the outdoor air, even if you live in a big industrialized city. And considering we spend like 90% of our time indoors, this is a massive deal. I mean, asthma alone affects roughly 20 million Americans and creates an annual cost of almost $2 billion. But here is the real kicker. Our HVAC systems are supposed to condition our air, right? Well, if they're neglected, they actually turn into superhighways for pollutants. These contaminants don't just randomly float around. They are actively driven by pressure differentials throughout the whole house. So to understand how all that stuff moves around, we need to talk about the stack effect. Basically, it's the pressure-driven flow produced by natural convection, which is just the scientific way of saying warm air likes to rise.
Think about what happens in your home as heated air escapes through the upper levels or the attic. It naturally creates a vacuum. This vacuum is so strong it pulls replacement air from outside into the lower levels. But the catch is, it also pulls air up from your basement, your crawl spaces, and right out from inside your walls. The stack effect can actually overpower your mechanical HVAC systems entirely, dragging microscopic contaminants from the lowest, dampest parts of your home straight into your living room.
Which brings us perfectly to Section 2, Managing Moisture and Mold, or, as I like to call it, Controlling the Invisible Enemy.
To stop mold, we've got to talk about relative humidity. This is the ratio of the weight of water in the air compared to the maximum weight of water it could hold at that same temperature. Let me tell you, controlling this one single metric is absolutely crucial to stopping mold in its tracks.
Let's put that into perspective with a hard number. 71%. That's the average relative humidity in Arkansas, making it one of the top 15 most humid states in the U.S. And why does that matter to us? Because toxic black mold, Stachybotrys charatum, thrives the second relative humidity climbs over 55%. So, if you live somewhere humid, bad news. Your ambient air is basically a giant welcome mat providing the exact environment mold needs to completely flourish once it gets inside. Now, how does this stuff actually spread? Well, molds reproduce by making these microscopic spores. They are incredibly tough, and they travel passively on the tiniest little breeze, or they get kicked up into the air just by someone walking past them.
And here is the kinda unsettling part. These tiny spores are quite literally everywhere. You can't totally eliminate them from your indoor environment. They're just hanging out, waiting to land on a damp organic surface. When they finally hit wet materials like drywall or the fiberglass ductboard inside your HVAC system, they immediately start growing and digesting that material to survive.
Because of that, there is a very strict 48-hour rule in home science. Got a plumbing leak, a roof leak? You have 48 hours tops to dry out that water damage before mold sets in. And here is a vital takeaway. If porous materials like fiberglass duct liners get wet and moldy, there are 0 approved biocides to clean them. You literally cannot just scrub them clean. They have to be entirely ripped out and replaced, or else you risk a massive release of spores right into your air.
All right, moving on to Section 3. Chimney safety and inspections. Let's look at those structural pathways.
Here's a question for anyone out there with a fireplace. Is your outdated prefab fireplace actually a hidden fire hazard? Chimneys are heavily neglected structural components. A lot of folks just think of them as a brick tube, but it is a highly complex venting system handling extreme heat. If it's damaged or outdated, it is a massive risk to your home. Because of that risk, the Chimney Safety Institute of America actually requires a baseline Level 1 inspection anytime you're using a system without major changes.
The technician checks your appliance clearances, inspects the connections, and looks at the crown and flashing up on the roof. And the golden rule here, if they find even an eighth of an inch of soot or creosote buildup inside that flue, it absolutely has to be swept. No exceptions.
Let's step outside for Section 4, Exterior Cleaning Boosts Value. This is the macro impact on your home's appraisal. We're zooming out to see how the outside of your house directly impacts your wallet.
Think of your home's exterior as the visual welcome mat for appraisers and buyers. Appraisers are trained professionals, sure, but human perception is a huge deal. If an appraiser pulls up and sees a roof totally covered in black algae streaks or siding stained with mildew, red flags go up everywhere. They instantly assume that if the highly visible outside is neglected, the hidden indoor systems, like the plumbing or the HVAC we just talked about, are probably a mess too. But a pristine exterior? It screams meticulous maintenance, leading to a much higher appraisal valuation and stopping actual physical decay from moss and algae.
But how you actually clean that exterior is incredibly important. That brings us to Section 5, Soft Washing versus Pressure Washing, and how to protect your investment.
This is a critical debate every homeowner absolutely needs to understand. Pressure washing uses high PSI to literally blast grime away. That is fantastic for a concrete driveway, but it is terrible for your roof. Soft washing, on the other hand, uses really low pressure combined with a specialized biodegradable detergent blend, so the chemistry does all the heavy lifting. It breaks down the algae and moss right at their roots so they can just be gently rinsed away without any abrasive force.
And here is why this is literally a $15,000 mistake. Asphalt shingles have this top coat of mineral granules that protect the asphalt from harsh UV rays. If you blast those granules away with high pressure, you are drastically cutting the lifespan of the roof and likely voiding your warranty. You're washing away the very protection your roof needs. Soft washing is the scientifically backed method to preserve those shingles while still making your house look amazing.
Finally, let's wrap up with Section 6, the Professional Safety Reward. Let's talk about how the industry is incentivizing home health.
There is this incredible trend right now in the home service industry called the vacation incentive strategy. Forward-thinking pros basically know that preventative maintenance is super easy to put off, so they are rewarding you for doing the right thing. When you book a comprehensive full-system safety inspection, which usually knocks out the chimney, air ducts, and dryer vents all in one go, you are gifted a prepaid vacation reservation. Talk about a win-win. The pro ensures your entire home is safe from those invisible threats, and you get serious peace of mind, plus a really cool lifestyle reward for protecting your biggest asset.
So we have journeyed all the way from microscopic spores floating around your HVAC to the structural integrity of your chimney, all the way out to the literal granules on your roof. It is all connected, guys. Your home is just this intricate, breathing system of science and airflow. So I'll leave you with this final thought. Knowing what is silently happening right now in the air you breathe and on the surfaces protecting you, what step are you going to take today to secure your home's health, safety, and value from the inside out? Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer, and keep learning.